he eventually came here to
He got
Legacy
his blue belt
in
from
LA.
you, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
He got
was
it.
awesome.
He got it a couple times, right? He got another one from Holtz Gracie.
Oh yeah.
But I talked to him about it. He's like, man, I want to be a white belt. I don't want a blue belt.
When I think
No disrespect, you know.
I used to see him like when we were like all like shaking hands because I never got to train with him.
Yeah.
We all shaking hands. He was like, "Oh, that's the guy with the smile." That's what he always said to me. Like,
To
I
you?
don't think he ever like learned my name, but he was like, "That's the guy with the smile." He was a cool guy. Yeah, you've gotten to meet like some awesome people, like in your lifetime. Like Bob Sapp, like he was a
Bob Sapp,
massive
so
celebrity.
big, yeah. But
Massive
he was,
celebrity.
yeah. He had a big heart. He brought all his guys to just basically introduce them, network them. You know, Ivan Salivary, Maurice Smith,
Ivan Salivary.
Yeah, Ivan Salivary. He has a gym in I think he still does in Seattle. You know.
Oh really? I remember was it? I think it was Tony Strickland that he fought, and he had the body triangle on him. And we're all like, our minds were blown. I had no idea what a body triangle was. I was like, my mind was blown. It was so cool.
Yeah, and they were doing, because it was early days, right? It was 2004-ish, maybe
Around there, yeah.
Around
3 or
that,
4,
yeah. And then they were showing me like just because I did my first fight in 2002, but just because Maurice Smith was a very like cutting edge stuff, right? Like he was involved with Frank Shamrock at the beginning and just the MMA conditioning because it was still such a new sport.
Yeah.
It wasn't even a sport yet. It was like underground, like it was like Valetudo, right? In the 90s. And then early 2000s, they started to have gloves, right? In that time.
I think when he fought, I think there was already gloves. He was like the leg kick guy, so I don't remember.
Maurice Smith?
Yeah.
And then he had that fight with, I don't know if you remember, but, like first it was Horse Gracie.
Yeah.
And then the wrestlers started to come in and ground and pound and win with
like Coleman,
Mark Coleman, right? And that was the era. And then Maurice Smith came in as a kickboxer and sprawled and brawled, right?
Yeah.
And ended up head kicking Mark Coleman to win the UFC championship, right?
Yeah.
And that changed that era. It was like a kind of like, well, okay, kickboxing's back. You know?
Yeah. So it's cool that you met him then too, like at that time.
Yeah. I got some pictures and it should go into my stuff. It's a cool time.
Yeah. It's nice. It's nice to see that MMA is like so massive now, but I don't think people realize how massive it also was like back then, especially for like us, like super fans. Like,
I mean, you're talking about the Pride Championship, the fight, every Pride, you couldn't wait, right? For the next Pride.
Oh yeah.
Event, right?
Yeah.
And then what would happen for you for the next Pride events?
I mean,
in Colorado, for example.
Like, so I mean, I remember like for the Pride events, like what was the one with like the 2003 elimination, whatever it was, where it was like they were doing like the super fights, and then they were doing like one massive tournament. So there was like 3 Prides or 2 Prides before then, where they're doing like the qualifiers and whatever to like set them up, and they used to do them on New Year's Eve. And obviously,
the biggest fights were on New Year's Eve.
Yeah, and people don't think about that here because they think that like New Year's Eve is a day where stuff closes down, like don't plan anything because people are gonna like go out or like do whatever. But everybody, like their New Year's Eve plans were to stay up to watch Pride. Like that was the thing, and we were on the same time zone as Pride back then. So like, same as Japan. Sorry, so we didn't have to like stay up like in the middle of the night, but we watched it like proper time, and it was a long show.
Yeah.
But man,
we watched every piece of it, right?
Every
minute,
yeah. And we wanted to see the beginning, like Boss and Steven like get into like their little shticks and like whatever. Like we wanted to see all that. We wanted to see the fight setups, the interview videos they did before then, like the cool comic stuff that they used to do every now and then. And then like the fight was always awesome. Like they were never like boring. I don't really remember boring fights in Pride. Maybe I'm just remembering the good times, but
no, it's true. Awesome. It's true. They didn't test for steroids, right?
Oh yeah. What is it? They used to say that like it was like they just so you know we're not testing. So like,
but it was but the way they did it was kind of like WWE, right? Like pro wrestling in a way.
Yeah.
They understood like the promotion side of it, and I mean, that's a part of it, right? That's a part of it, and UFC does, right? They're the same company now, right?
They are the same company now, yeah.
But they really did it, and they understood, I think, right? But they did a lot of pro wrestling in their shows, right, in Japan, and they combined a lot of those organizations so they could get all those guys together, like having pro wrestlers fight MMA guys and them fighting kickboxers, and so it made it like a spectacle, right?
Yeah. I mean, I remember at the time we used to watch Pride, and we loved Pride, and Pride was like the thing that we waited like all the time for. We knew of the UFC, but we didn't like keep up with the schedule. We didn't have it yet in New Zealand, like it wasn't yet available.
Well, they went, it went like underground for until
did, yeah.
until for like 2000, was it 5-ish, you know, 4? I don't
Maybe
know when it came
yeah,
back.
like around 4.
When Spike TV came on TV here.
That was 5, yeah.
5. Whenever that happened, then you start to see more of it, right?
Yeah,
And
but
then
for a while it did disappear. Yeah, like the Tito era, most people
Yeah.
never saw it.